Hey guys, welcome to another fun and exciting Iron Mike GT Sport stream. Before I get into this is the Maggiore Group 3 race, but before I get into that, I just want to go over something first. I don't stream every stream, so the last two FAIs, we had the Nations and the Manufacturers. I didn't stream them because they just weren't that exciting. I think it was the Manufacturers at Suzuka. I started 20th and finished 10th, and my DR points went up just a touch, but it was painful to watch just preparing to put it on YouTube, so I just gave up on it. And then there was the Alsace race, which I started 14th and finished 9th, I think. The only exciting thing in it was there was a dirty driver that I had enough of and punted off for myself and other people's sake. Again, not an exciting race, and my DR points went up just a touch. So I don't stream everything, but this one here was a bit different. This one, speaking of different, I thought I would try something different in this race, and that was put in a proper qualifying. I practiced for this race and put in a good qualifying time during the week. A minute 54.362, I think. And then as I entered lobbies, I actually found tyres wore pretty bad, and it was hard to overtake people. Naturally, in a lobby, I would start at the back. I'm racing against Japanese guys. I didn't want to interfere with their race, but so I'd start at the back, 10 people, and I'd struggle to get past them. So I thought, this is a race where I really need to try and start up near the front. So I was watching people's qualifying times and thinking, I think I could do better than that. So halfway around the track, I'm watching it, and I can see whether or not I should put in a serious effort, which I am now, or just back off and start at the back. But it seemed like it was worth going for. And first place, what do you know? And that's pretty much how I finished qualifying. I was 0.3 something ahead of second place, but it does make me nervous. I don't like starting up the front. I'm always fearful that I will get hit, or just through my nerves I will spin the car out. On the first few corners, I did notice during the week, the first half lap or full lap, the tyres are actually quite cold and slippery. It is a 9:30 in the morning, frosty. Initially I thought it was the crowds were full of smokers. I thought maybe the smokers were invited back, because it was just so smoky, but apparently it's the morning dew at 9:30 in the morning. So the tyres are quite slippery because of that, not because of smokers. Anyway, so yeah, as you saw, I'm in the Toyota FVGT1 or whatever it is, that car there. You can see it. Toyota. Soft tyres only. Did work out, which majority of people do. They will pit. It's a bit of a stretch to do a no stopper. It is possible, but a bit of a stretch. I did find the front tyres would wear a lot, no matter where my brake balance was. You probably saw on the screen, I'm flicking around different settings. This race I struggled to, I didn't have confidence. I struggled to determine where I should have my settings. To look after my tyres, I would have my traction control on, and then put the brake balance to +1 rather than -1 to try and look after the fronts. But I pretty much worked out during the week that it didn't matter what I did, those front tyres were going to wear. So at the moment I've got traction control on, just in case my nerves kick off and I accelerate a bit too hard on corners and spin out. But so far so good. I've started first and I've survived so far, and at this point I would be just watching those split times and my rearview mirror, hoping that people will be battling and I can get away. I also had that slight confidence that I was a little bit faster during qualifying. Hopefully that carries on through into the race. Just cut the corner a touch there, and I was so worried about a penalty. I thought so soon in the race, if I get a penalty, I'm just going to get swamped. I must admit, because I wasn't sure about my settings, in lobbies I struggled to overtake people. Before I started this race today, there was a little part of me was thinking, don't do it, just don't race. I pictured myself at the back, just struggling. The reason why I pictured myself at the back, I was hoping that I could do maybe 1, 2 or 3 races, and the first one I'd start at the back and see how I go. But I've got a wife and a 1.5-year-old child, and there's not much time for this game anymore, so I knew I had to put in my best performance the first time. That's why I was very surprised that I actually got pole. Couldn't believe it. Like I said, my DR is going up. My DR is getting back up to near where it used to be at its maximum. So I can't remember exactly, but I'm 19,000. No. I probably am 19,000 now after this race, but it's a bit of a spoiler. Yeah, it was about 18,900 or something. Yeah, so it's getting up near its maximum. So the strategy for this race, not that there's much, is pit lap 7 for softs. During the week in lobbies, I found some people might push it to lap 8, which is just going a bit too far. For me, in my eyes, it's just going a bit too far. You got a full tank of fuel, and those tyres are going to be working really hard. So I would be going 7 laps, doing the least in the first half. Get the fresh soft tyres on to undercut anyone that's out there, and then finally 8 laps with less fuel, so the car's a bit lighter, the tyre wear shouldn't be so harsh. And I could not believe at this point I'm still in first. I thought these guys would have been catching me. Every corner I felt like my nerves were just slowing me down, just trying to get the corners right, even the brake, the gearing right. Sometimes I'd be in the wrong gear. Still got that traction control on. I did think about taking it off, but I thought it's quite early in the race. These tyres are really going to wear by lap 7 and by lap 15. So I resisted removing it, even though I kind of knew it's not going to do much. I think most of the wear is in the sliding, not the acceleration. But I think at some point I do take it off, because I begin to notice certain corners, like around here, the traction control would kick in like it has there, and I could feel myself slowing down. And I thought I've really got to take it off. I really felt threatened now by these guys behind me. But luckily for me, Japanese, they're quite respectful. They're not dirty and dive bomb on the inside on corners. And yeah, so they were pretty clean. So you can see the fronts at the moment still have quite a bit of wear. and I'd just be monitoring my tyres and just trying to focus on looking after them, but also not overly looking after them. They're only to last 7 laps, so I didn't want to be treating them like they're going to last 15 laps. Which is a slight contradiction. You're battling between looking after them and not looking after them. I guess getting the most out of them, I guess. So it looks like I've got a little bit of a breather behind me from the 2 cars, the Japanese guys. And I was hoping that that was a good sign that their tyres are really beginning to wear, and I'd just be pulling away. Just trying to use every part of that track. During the week when I was practicing, I was relatively good at preserving my fuel. But when the pressure's on and you're pushing hard, and you're in the lead, so you've got no one in front of you as a guide, I kind of let my fuel gauge do its own thing. I really wasn't paying attention. So I'm not too sure when, but at a certain point I do have a look to see how I'm going. Can start to hear the tyres are starting to wear down now. I've got the pressure from the guy in the WRX, I think it is, behind me. He's really putting me under pressure. So here I thought he was in a good position to go for a pass, but just seems to just sit behind me. It shows no intent of overtaking. And I must admit, I started thinking to myself, the longer you just sit behind me, the greater chance there is that you'll end up having an accident. You know, not being able to see a corner because you're right behind me, something going wrong for him. So I think something has gone on, so he's fallen back a touch, but it doesn't take too long for him to catch up. And I'm just hoping that lap 7 is over. So I'd be looking at the map occasionally to see how far away I am from other people. So it looks like it's just me and this guy at the moment. So I'd be looking at my worst case scenario, that if he was to get past me, where would I be? Would someone else be right on my tail? So we're on lap 7 now. This is my in lap. So obviously I've left my traction control on this whole stint. So traction control 2, I think it's on brake balance 1 and fuel mix 1, I guess. I put my indicator on so that I'm pulling in. I thought he was going to be doing the same, but looks like he continues on for an extra lap. I can hear other cars passing and I thought, oh, not good, not good. And considering I had chewed a bit more fuel than expected, I thought I'd throw in just a little bit extra. I got Morrissey coming in behind me, but I think he's trying a nose stopper. His tyres are really worn, so he's just dropped off on that corner. So I've come out in 4th. And I'm thinking to myself that these 3 guys in front of me have not pitted. So in theory, as much as I'm a bit cautious on these fresh softs, in theory I should be catching them up a bit and maybe undercut them. So I know I take my traction control off. I'm just not sure when. It might be near the end, maybe around lap 12 or something. Alright, down to 1. So we're on lap 8. We should see some of these guys pitting. So the guy in the lead, Japanese guy, he's in the WRX. So second and third place have pitted, and the WRX guy is pushing on for some reason. So at this point I was a bit concerned that the guys that have just pitted will have fresher tyres, but I had to keep reminding myself it's just one lap, which is almost next to nothing in the early stages. But one lap on the final lap, 1 lap difference, might be a lot. And I couldn't remember exactly how long that pit stop took. So that guy's about 16 seconds ahead of me. I couldn't remember whether or not I'm within his pit window or if I'm out of it. So he's pitting now. Here he goes. So then I was wondering, will he come out of the pits in front of me? But there he is, just behind me. So obviously there's a classic example of an undercut, but his tyres are absolutely fresh. Mine are 2 laps old. Put my indicator on, I'm pretty short, say just go past me. It was probably better that way, that's the way I felt. Because third and fourth, I had a feeling that third and fourth would be catching, and there's no point holding this guy up. And then also I can see the split time between myself and third. I just knew I couldn't hold that guy back. He'd already passed me once, and he was right on my tail with fresh tyres. So I was just trying my hardest to keep up with him. So just looking at my fuel. And so far so good. I mean, I'm still happy with second at the moment. Honestly, didn't believe I'd be in this position. I thought I'd be down the back somewhere, regretting even entering this race. But the split time between myself and third seemed to hold. Each lap that went by, it just seemed to not move too much. So we're on lap 11 now. If I haven't already, I'm pretty sure at some point I remove my traction control and then my brake balance to try and step up the pace. Knowing the risk of spinning the car out pushing it too hard. So I guess at this point what I was thinking was my tyres aren't doing so great, but I've got plenty of fuel. I knew I'd have enough fuel to the end, so I was hoping maybe, let's say, first place might be struggling with fuel at a certain point, or the people behind. That was one strength I had, plenty of fuel, not too much but plenty. My weak point, maybe like everyone else, was my tyres were wearing. So you can see I'm just taking those corners a little bit carefully now. I'm just starting to slow down a bit to try and really focus on those tyres. I have plenty of split time up my sleeve from third place, so I just didn't want to wreck the tyres. It was a little bit of preservation at the moment. See here, is it here? Yep, changing the traction control to 0, and then brake balance to -1. Which usually in a race, guys, I don't normally do that. I'm not doing a lot of changes here and there. That's pretty much an indication of how unsure, uncomfortable I was with the tyre wear. Like I said, during time trial I would have brake balance at -1, traction control off, but during the race I just needed to just play it safe a bit. So it looks like the position 1 guy, he's just pulling away, he's doing really well. To me, he's almost performing like an A driver. Oh, and just a point, I may have forgotten to mention it, this pretty much is my favourite track. I've done pretty well on this track. Maybe Interlagos and Red Bull are probably my second and third favourite, but for me this is my favourite. It seems to have everything, this track. Enough long straights, some fast gentle curving corners, and like Big Banky Boy down here, some pretty hard sharp corners, undulating up and down hill climbs, steep descents. It's got everything. I love this track. So final lap now. My front tyres are pretty worn. A corner like that, I almost felt like I was going to overcook it. I think it's around here I decided I should put my traction control back on. Should be coming up soon, just to be sure, because I thought at any point I could slide off the track. So here we go, traction control 2 back on. Ooh, look at that, +1. Just going back to the old safety. And maybe here I was just kind of hoping that the first place would be starting to get some fuel issues. I'd just be monitoring the split time and just seeing whether or not that 6-second gap would be dropping pretty fast, maybe with yellow flags. Getting right near the end of the race now. Pretty safe from position 3. I am closing in on first place, but it's still at this point not enough, and it's pretty much over now. I was pretty happy with that. Starting first and finishing second, headlights flashing, hazards on. Second place, pole position, and second. I was pretty happy. So yeah, down 1 place. Door number 17, down 1 place. 93 points. That may be now my new highest score ever. Hope you enjoyed the stream, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.